tool. Thank you. All right, moving on to the foreign arrangement scheme. I have questions about a specific MOU registered under the scheme. It's between Charles Sturt University and the Hong Kong Police College. It was signed in 2018 for a 5-year period, and so it's possible that it has been lapsed. It's also possible it has been extended, but the register has not yet been updated. Is there any official at the table who's familiar with that particular arrangement?
Can you just give us a minute, Senator?
Sorry, Senator, part of my problem is I know I have an answer for you, not specifically about the lapsing part, but about that particular MOU, if you just give me a moment to find it. But your question was about the lapsing. I mean, from our perspective, things are registered when they're notified to us and they go through the process. We register them on the public register, and specific questions about whether or not they have lapsed are really ones for the institutions involved.
Mm-hmm. So it was, the date of the arrangement commenced was 18 July 2018, so theoretically it should have lapsed on 18 July 2023, which has passed, unless it was extended. Are you able to take on notice whether or not Charles Sturt University has updated you about this arrangement?
I can take on notice whether they've updated us, but questions about the current status of the arrangement, of course, need to go to Charles Sturt
Because
University.
if the arrangement had been extended but they had not notified you, they're potentially in breach of the foreign arrangement scheme, aren't they?
Could you ask the question in a different way? She can't really answer. The official can't really be asked to answer that.
Okay, I won't ask about this specific instance.
You could say, is there an obligation?
It is a requirement
yes,
under the Act, isn't it, that signatories to foreign arrangements keep the department updated about their current status?
Well, the requirement is to notify us of arrangements,
yes.
at which point we consider them in accordance with the scheme and we publish them in accordance with the scheme. It would be a question, probably they would need to let us know if it was extended or renewed, but the fact is it continues to be a scheme that's in existence and it's already been considered.
Yeah, thank you. There is another similar scheme at Griffith University with the Yunnan Police College in the PRC. The reason why this has emerged is that it was discovered in estimates this week that there is a arrangement between the AFP College and Hong Kong Police for ongoing training. I won't ask you about that scheme, but Minister, do you have a view, given the conduct that we've observed from Hong Kong Police in recent years and the way in which they've been used to suppress pro-democracy activists, opposition politicians, unionists, journalists and others, whether or not it is in Australia's national interest for an Australian university to continue to train Hong Kong Police?
Senator Ellie Lawson, Deputy Secretary, Strategic Coordination and Planning Group. Senator, we keep a close eye on developments in Hong Kong. We look carefully at the range of agreements between Hong Kong and the Australian agencies, and we keep them under constant review.
My question was more directed to, I appreciate that answer, but more directed to the Minister. Do you think it's in our national interest for Australian universities to be training Hong Kong police, given what we've seen of them in recent years? Most recently, the issuing of bounties against the head of an Australian citizen and an Australian permanent resident.
Well, in relation to the second part of the question, I understand, although I didn't see it, that you asked questions of the Australian Federal Police.
I did.
This week, and they outlined the reasons for their cooperation with Hong Kong.
To be fair to them, it was about their cooperation with China, and it was focused more on law enforcement, not specifically training.
Correct.
And not specifically
I know
Hong
there
Kong.
are law enforcement reasons why the police do that.
I do
on the broader question, I've made many public comments in relation to the warrants for Australians at the time, and subsequently, we believe that the issuing of warrants for democracy advocates, including those in Australia, is not acceptable. And we have again reiterated the same position that we have in relation to many such matters, which is Australia is a democracy. We value freedom of speech. freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, and we will continue to support Australians who exercise those rights.
Yes, and I recognise the statements that you've made on that, Foreign Minister, and also the fact that you met with Kevin Yam and Ted Hui, who are the targets of those, and that is why I'm asking this question. Given the stance that you've taken on that issue, given the strength of your condemnation of that, do you think it is in the national interest for an Australian university to train the police who are responsible for that?
Well, I'd refer to the AFP's responses to you.
Okay. I really think the AFP, to be fair to them, would not want to be seen to be defending this particular arrangement. The Commissioner Kershaw was talking about other cooperation that they have with the Ministry of Public Security, specifically, a mainland entity on international and transnational crime, not on specifically Hong Kong police.
Well, it is, as I understand it, an arrangement the AFP is engaged in.
No, I'm sorry, these are separate issues. So Hong Kong Police recently visited Australia. As part of their visit, they had a bilateral engagement with the AFP. They also went to the AFP training facility in Sydney.
Correct.
When I asked Commissioner Kershaw about that, he said he would look into that matter. Separately, he said that the AFP cooperates with the Ministry of Public Security in China on transnational criminal issues, and that was important. In my view, and I think the impression I got from the AFP was they were two distinct issues. I'm also now asking you about an Australian university training Hong Kong police.
Right. Well, I'm not quite sure which arrangement you're referring to. The one I have awareness of, well, the two are the cooperation in relation to transnational crimes and the cooperation in relation to training, which were programs the AFP have engaged in. But if there's anything further we can add, we'll come back to you. But otherwise, I'd refer you to that evidence.
The other arrangement I'm asking you about is because you have responsibility for it under the Foreign Arrangement Scheme, which is that an Australian university has registered a training arrangement with Hong Kong Police. It's Charles Sturt University. It's an MOU on the register, and as Foreign Minister you have the power to cancel or vary that agreement if you believe it's not in the national interest. So that's why I'm asking you about this.
We will see if there's anything further we can provide, but obviously such an arrangement would need to go through our Foreign Arrangements Scheme. We have relevant processes as to whether it's consistent with our foreign policy, and that would be the framework that would apply to this or any other arrangement.
Okay. Well, I encourage you to consider this particular arrangement. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
You're welcome.